read the criminal complaint, which is quite a good read. It's kind of long, but it's a good read.
It's a 50 Shades of Grey read is what it is.
It's actually not as satisfying just because he's such a disgusting character. But this woman actually came forward pretty immediately after this happened, within a year. It was brought forward to the DA's office there in Pennsylvania, and they declined to press charges at that time. I think that the reason why criminal charges are being pressed now is because of the transcripts from all of the depositions that made this particular district attorney take a second look at the facts of the case and feel like they had enough to go forward at this time. So I think that that's why this particular charge was being brought now.
Yeah, did Cosby actually spend any time behind bars? Was he actually locked up for a period of time over the holidays?
He was booked into jail. He had $1 million bond set, but as you can imagine, with the resources, he paid the 10%. He paid $100,000 and was released pretty immediately. So.
Yeah, that's nothing to him. That's pocket change to somebody who has the bankroll that he does.
Exactly.
And all of these other cases, is there a statute of limitations on sexual assault on rape?
There are statutes of limitations on where it took place, and as you mentioned, there are so many different victims, and they happen in so many different places. There are statutes of limitations. In Pennsylvania, where this took place, it's 12 years. In other states, it's going to vary between 10, 15. Some of them I believe are up to 20, but it just depends on where they are, and in this case, it was running out, and they filed just in the nick of time.
Yeah, I the whole story is so disgusting to me, and I'm surprised at the number of people that are still continuing to support him. Even if you don't believe all the charges, when you get into 4 dozen accusers, at least a couple of them are probably true.
Sure, and you're always going to have people that are going to jump on the bandwagon of, these women are trying to get some gain or some benefit from making these accusations, and that may be true in some instances, but it seems pretty credible when you at least read his statements from the depositions, where he comes right out and says that these acts took place. I mean, he admits to a lot of the acts that this woman came out and said this happened, and he confirms that he did molest her, he did assault her. He admits to her mother that he had prescription medication. He admits to the police that he had at least 7 prescriptions that he filled that he never intended to use for himself, but intended to use on women. So it's hard to stand up in the face of that and say, I'm completely innocent and we're going to be vindicated with this evidence.
Rebekah,
that's hard to do.
Explain this from a legal perspective. If there are no criminal charges filed in the other 40 some odd cases, are there any sort of civil liabilities that Bill Cosby or the Cosby estate, because he's close to 80 years old now, could he be held civilly responsible and taken to court for money by any of these other women?
Sure, and I think that that's the reason why you're seeing more and more women come out of the woodwork, is that with these allegations, despite whether there's a statute of limitations, they're wanting to seek something civilly. That's why there are depositions being done, and just recently, I believe as of this weekend, his wife Camille is being forced to testify despite her wanting to have that subpoena quashed. They're still doing depositions. They're still having civil suits that they're fighting, and with that comes payouts. So if a woman is not being, satisfied with a criminal complaint and taking, Bill Cosby to court to have that justice done in that realm, hopefully if there is some merit to their claims, they're going to get that in another realm of our justice system.
After watching Making a Murderer on Netflix this past week over the holidays, I'm trying to be a little more careful about the presumption of innocence, but when there are this many accusers, there's probably a little truth to the story. Have you watched Making a Murderer yet, Rebekah?
I'm just now into episode 2, and as obviously a defense attorney, that's what we do. Myself, my boss, Scott H. Palmer, our firm works to protect that every day. I mean, the presumption of innocence is what our justice system is founded on, and I would tell you it's a shame, and it's kind of shocking to see that, just like you said, and in Making a Murderer, and if you read up on how many people in our country have been exonerated, that's a real fear for people, and it's a real fear for us when we go into court every day is, God forbid, somebody that's innocent should be convicted. It's just a little bit hard to defend someone who comes right out and confesses and gives multiple depositions, tries to pay off victims. That's pretty hard to defend. So
all right. Well, remember, Rebekah, remember what you just said when you get to around episodes 7 and 10 of Making a Murderer, and see if you still feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm definitely into it. I'm on a binge watching trend. There are just not enough hours in the day for me.
If you have problem finding your keys at the end of the day, just call the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department. They'll be able to locate it right away.
They're going to find them for me in my house, I'm sure.
Just to wrap things up here quickly, also over the holiday weekend, Ethan Couch, the Affluenza teen, I'm surprised we still know who this guy is. He's the spoiled rich kid who got off without any sort of punishment after killing 4 people, really. He and his mom were found in Mexico, correct?
Correct. Puerto Vallarta, the resort town, they were found there, and he's still there, although he's in Mexico City and is going to have to make a decision if he wants to stay for a while in an immigration detention facility or come on back to the U.S. of A. So that's a decision he's going to have to decide pretty quickly.
I say we just leave him in a Mexican jail.
I'm okay with that. It's probably a lot worse than any facility that we have here.
So why were authorities after him? A video surfaced of him drinking, and he was on probation, so he wasn't supposed to party at all?
Correct. There was a video that was allegedly of him at a party, perhaps of him drinking, and so he had a probation appointment to address those concerns, and when he didn't show up, a warrant was issued for his arrest. And at that point, it seems like they had already taken off towards Mexico. So it'll be interesting to see if, he's adjudicated as an adult, if his mom is going to be held accountable for the hindering apprehension of a fugitive in that case. And that can be hard to prove considering the violation was not one that was so great. They really basically just dug the rabbit hole a bit deeper. So
is it slimy for a defense attorney to claim something like that, affluenza, in your opinion?
It's a term that I don't think any of us in the North Texas area had ever heard before. I certainly had never heard of it, so it's new to me, and I think it's now something that's obviously in our vocabulary, but it's a little ridiculous, but you know what? It worked. So
Rebekah Perlstein, what's your website, Rebekah?
Our website is scottpalmerlaw.com.
We'll do our Hot 5 at 5 next.
In Texas.
Thanks, Rebekah. We'll talk soon. It's 4:59 on News Radio 1370, Toledo's news, weather, and traffic station.